Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. 23 days in July. 21 stages, 2 rest days. Over 2,100 miles. The winner spends an average of 84 hours sprinting, racing, going around hairpins, climbing. Through climbs so grueling that approximately 5 people drop out per day. And out of the ones that don't drop out, the stories are that some grind their teeth down just to make it through the pain. If you don't know what event I'm talking about, 23 days in July, I'm talking about the Tour de France. And my goal is just to introduce you a little bit to this tour, to a cultural event that France and a lot of Europe espouses so much. The Tour de France is one of 3 Grand Tours. It is the oldest Grand Tour, and Grand Tours are 3-week bicycle stage races. The other 2 are the Tour of Spain and the Tour of Italy. What I'll be talking to you about on this is the history, classifications, and stages. So the history. So back in 1903, there were 2 sports newspapers in France. One was Le Velo and one was El Alto. And forgive me if I pronounce the French right throughout this, there's a lot of French terms. Le Velo was doing very well, and El Alto was on the verge of bankruptcy. And the board of directors got together. And they just had to find a way to just avoid bankruptcy. So a 26-year-old journalist, who was also a cyclist, proposed a six-stage bicycle race through all of France. The people thought he was crazy. They're like, nobody's going to make it through all of France on the bicycle race. I mean, that's just inhuman. But they didn't have any better ideas, so they went ahead. And in January of 1903, they decided to start the 6-stage bicycle race. The stages started, the riders would start at night, and they would go to the next afternoon. And the race went pretty well, but what they realized was there was a lot of cheating. And the judges couldn't find out who was cheating and wasn't cheating because the stages were at night. So for the second year, they decided to move it to 11 stages. They decided to host most of those stages throughout the day so they could find out who was cheating and who wasn't. And it went pretty well, and they started hosting it every year except for 2 years. One was suspended due to World War I, the other one was due to World War II. It started going pretty well. Throughout the 70s, sponsorships started coming in, sponsors started coming in, riders from other countries started joining in. In 1986, he saw the first non-European to win it, which was Greg LeMond, which is also actually the first American to win the Tour de France. But it was still struggling financially, so another organization ended up taking over. And today it's run by an organization called the Amaury Sports Organization. That's a little bit about the history of the Tour de France. Now moving on to classifications. Most people know just about the general classification, which is a guy that wears a yellow jersey. And the reason that it's yellow is because El Alto used to print their newspaper in yellow paper. So general classification goes to the rider who has the lowest aggregate amount of time. So what I want to make clear is he doesn't have to win any stages. He just has to have the lowest amount of time. Just to wear the yellow jersey. Then you have the mountain stages. The best rider in the mountains, he wears a red polka dot jersey. Basically all climbs are categorized from category 4 being the easiest, category 3, 2, 1, progressively harder, to climbs that are so hard that they can't categorize, called hors de categorie in French. And the first riders to cross those climb intervals are awarded points. And that's how the rider with the most amount of points gets to wear their red polka dot jersey. Then later on in the 70s, they introduced the points classification, which goes to the best sprinter, and he gets to wear a green jersey. So the first 15 finishers of each stage get awarded points. And if it's a flat stage, they get awarded more points. And there's also intervals throughout stages where the first 15 riders across those intervals are awarded points. And like I said, the most points throughout those sprint intervals gets to wear the green jersey. The last one's the best young rider. And the way that's determined is the same way as the general classification. He doesn't have to win any stages. He has to have the lowest overall time. And the only criteria is that he has to be under the age of 26. So there are riders that can win more than one jersey, and the way it works is if you win the white jersey and the yellow jersey, which has happened, you'll wear the yellow jersey because that is the older classification and it is the more prestigious one. Moving on from classifications to stages. So you have flat stages, which typically happen in the first week, and people ask, well, why do you have flat stages? Well, it's just to spread the wealth. You don't want just climbers winning it, you want sprinters to have some of the glory too. So those typically happen in the first week. Then in the second and third week, you have the stages that get in the Pyrenees Mountains and the Alps. Those are the climbing stages, which are very grueling. That's where you usually determine who's going to end up winning the race. That's where usually you separate the men from the boys, as they say. And then you also have time trials. And time trials is where you're actually competing against the clock. All the other stages, you're not really competing against the clock, and you're not really worried about your time. You're just worried about beating the riders. For the time trials is where you see all these aerodynamics come in. Where Lance Armstrong would go to University of Washington, get in the wind tunnel, see all these helmets. The bicycle wheels don't have spokes anymore, they're like discs. And all that's to shave seconds, because seconds are crucial. So you're racing against the clock. So you have team trials and you have individual time trials. Team trials, team races together. Team consists of 9 riders. And the time goes based on the 5th rider across the finish line. And individual time trials is you're the individual racing against the clock. And there's a huge team dynamic, which I wanted to mention real quick, is each team has a goal. One team's goal, and each team of 9 riders supports 1 rider, so the other 8 riders are called domestiques in French. And they support that 1 rider getting the goal. Maybe that team's goal might be to get the general classification for that 1 rider, or it might be get the mountain. But the way they help that rider is you ride behind somebody. If I'm riding behind somebody, I expend 30% less energy because I'm riding behind, they're breaking the wind for me. They'll go ahead and grab water bottles for them. If I'm the leader they're supporting, my bike crashes, my domestiques will give me the bike for me. They'll give me their bike so I can continue along and meet the goal. So that's a little bit about the stages. So hopefully now you understand more about this Tour de France. Happens every year in July. And it's a pretty amazing bicycle race. And like I said, it's something that's big in Europe and also now big throughout the world. And I think it's just pretty cool. So now you understand the history, classification, stages. Hopefully now you can go watch it and know that it's not just about the overall winner. There's also other guys that can win in it too. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnie. Michael, thank you. So Michael is giving the number 2 speech from the Competent Communicator Manual. It's Organize Your Speech. His goal was to present a talk that is organized, has a clear beginning, body, and conclusion, major facts and ideas, and supports that throughout with good transitions. So first I want to start with the beginning of your speech, which was a great descriptive opening of what the Tour de France is and what the tour actually embodies and espouses as far as a grueling physical event for everyone who participates. And that really set up the rest of the speech because right away you were showing us, how much you prepared, and you got your opening set, which is crucial for these early speeches. You have your opening, it sets the rest of your speech up well. And so we saw that, and then we also saw how enthusiastic you were about the topic. And for me, that just hooked me in because I've heard of the Tour de France all my life. I've probably watched it once. That was an I've, but I stretched it. But now that I have some information about the Tour de France that you clearly laid out with your outline here and what you went through, I think I'll be able to appreciate it better this year, and maybe I'll watch it, maybe with you. You had a really concise description of something that could probably be complex to someone who's never seen or experienced the Tour de France, which was great, a testament to your preparation and again how much you understand about the sport, which came across very clearly. Some recommendations and advice for you. You said like a lot, so you would say they don't have spokes, they're like discs. So there were some other examples of that I didn't write down, but try to avoid saying things like. So your conclusion, I found, this is my opinion, your conclusion seemed a little bit chunked in at the end. So my recommendation is to tie that into your opening. So you had a really strong opening. So if your opening would say, hey, because this is such a fantastic testament to human endurance, I'm going to go over these topics so that you can appreciate it. And at the end, like, I've covered these topics. I hope that when the Tour de France starts in July, you'll be able to sit back and enjoy it with the fundamental knowledge of what it's all about. And I think you could have tied those things together and wrapped it up in a nice little package like that. Again, for your number 2 speech, excellent enthusiasm, and that really conveys and sets a tone for your whole speech and lets the audience really just watch you and enjoy what you're talking about, even if it's something that they don't care about. They can see that you care about it, and they can, just draw on that for energy to get through the speech. And it was a great speech, and I look forward to the rest of your manuals. Mr. Chestnut.